Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, joined once more by Tate for, I always say, a special video. This one's a bit different, but before we even talk different, Tate, you're back in the UK. How are you doing?
I am back in the UK. I'm somewhere new as well, with a completely brand new desk and setup and everything, which is quite interesting and different. But yeah, no, back and already watching loads of films, and very much looking forward to not just kind of getting back into the swing of things with cinema, but also this video in particular, because this is a special video.
It is. And by definition, it is the 10th anniversary of the channel today. The day this video goes up, we're pre recording this the day before, so we're not doing something way too early that's very well organised. This isn't last minute. We've had this in the pipeline for a while. We've known about the 10th anniversary. It's always been a murky subject on the channel because I think there were many years where there was like an annual conversation like, is it the 7th of May or is it like the 28th of April, which was the day the channel got created? But it is the upload day. So anyone that watched that intro and thought, why on earth are we about to talk Avengers Age of Ultron? That was the very first video on the channel. It was an Age of Ultron review. Since been reviewed as part of the Infinity Saga retrospective, so we're not going to do it a third time. You have all been saved. But as I said, we're reflecting on 10 years of Cinema Savvy being a channel. We've crossed a milestone of milestones in the last week. We've surpassed 1 million views, which is something that I don't think anyone thought could ever happen because it wasn't set up to go on for 10 years, let alone 1 million views and whatnot. So, yeah, it's not blowing smoke up our asses, but we are having a party as such. But that being said, Tate, how are
Yes.
you? I don't even know how to say how you do. I don't even know what to really segue with, if I'm honest. The spot's yours.
Yes. Do we just go straight into it, or like?
Well, actually, no, that's fair. I guess what we can say to people at home, we are doing a something more personal for the anniversary. We're not doing like a highlight package. We've done it in the past. I think it was our 1,000th video. We had a really cool thumbnail where
Yeah.
we had really not famous episodes. That's really sad, but like we had big moments that were thumbnails. That was the backdrop to the thumbnail. Whereas with this one, we thought with it being 10 years, we're not necessarily going to look back at 10 years worth of doing videos because so much has changed in that time. We've obviously had so many different viewers, guests. We've evolved from a podcast into a live stream channel into now more of a bit of a live stream, a bit of pre-recording. We went from watching films only at the cinema after they've come out to we get to
God.
sometimes very luckily go and watch films early. So there's been an evolution all over the place. There's been lots of back and forths. We even do shorts now. No, we don't have
Mm.
TikTok. We won't have TikTok. People do ask. I'm not lying. I've had people say we should have a TikTok, and
I've
I
had
just
people asking as well.
I just can't. Like, we've got Instagram Shorts, Reels. Sorry, we've got YouTube Shorts. Like, we really TikTok's another level of like that's like Generation Z or Alpha, whatever they call them. But with it being the anniversary, it's something a bit more personal. We're doing something a bit personal to us. We are going to be doing our favorite 50 films, which is being, if you've not put two and two together, a very common sense list that's been split up into two lists of 25 because we'll each be talking our 25 favorite films. A list video that's actually harder than I thought it would be to do. I don't know if you were the same.
It was, yeah, it took a while just because we've had a few different lists we put on the channel previously. And of course, you'll look at those and you'll kind of have your favorites in your head and stuff like that. But things change so much over time. I used to have a top 100 list, which I had before I even joined the channel, which I hadn't looked at in about 10 years. And I finally looked at it and went, oh my God, this is so wrong. This is all over the place. I think the only things that didn't move were probably the top two. Apart from that, everything moved. Um, and then just with new films coming in, with films that maybe you've only seen once or twice that you watch, doesn't have to be brand new releases, just films that you're seeing for the first time, you're going, wow, I really like this. So many different things to take into account. And we're doing favorite, not best, because this is personal to us. It's got to be something really deep and personal because of that. If we were doing a best films list, God, we'd be talking about Citizen Kane,
Insufferable.
Godfather. It would be just the most horrific list. We could do that if you want, but that will be a short. That will absolutely not be a full video. With this one, we just want to talk about what is our own personal favorite films and really kind of advertise not just what we're about as people who watch films, but what the channel's about and kind of how how we see film and what we kind of love, and maybe give some suggestions that people have maybe not even looked at before.
Yeah, maybe even surprise them. Like, we might be talking about films we've never spoke about on the channel. There might be films on here. There will be films on here we've spoken about on the channel. So there will be a bit of blend of everything. And we haven't even had rules. We've not even had a sit down saying, "How dare you pick this? How dare you not pick that?" We both kind of came on tonight and we've had the same mindset that I kind of said to you, like, I've got franchise films in here, but I'm not picking more than one per series. Just on the basis it'd be a very short list for me because there'd be a lot of Star Wars films. And I think you've gone for the same mindset, and I think it's the best one. So I will say on some
Mm.
like if I pick film number 3 in a series of 38, which I haven't, um, I would be like, no, I'm actually just picking this film, or I'm picking this series. So I know that's a bit of an asterisk with some of it, but it is to make it a bit more varied and more interesting. Um, I think that's fair. Have we got any other, not necessarily ground rules as such, but I don't know if you
I
could put
mean,
any other way than that?
well, I was considering putting in a short film because I love Wallace and Gromit and I grew up with Wallace and Gromit, but I didn't put any Wallace and Gromit short films in there. At the same time, I only realized it kind of coming into the video because I was like, oh yeah, I will only kind of represent one franchise, one thing. I have put in two different. I've put in one film or two films on my list which are from the same franchise, but the films are wildly different, even though they're linked. So I think there's a clear definition between the two of them, enough so that you can say this film is very, very much different from this film. But we'll get into that when I get into my. The first one coming up will be the 22nd pick for me, so we'll get into that in a bit.
Okay. I've got my list here. Do you want to go first, or want me to go first? How do you want to play it?
I can go first if you want.
Okay, sound.
So,
And people at home, sorry, we're going to be doing it together. So we're not going to be doing 25 to 1 Tate, 25 to 1 George. We'll be doing 25, 25, 24, 24, etc., etc. And people at home, obviously, comment your favourite films. If there are films we've brought up which you're shocked based off how we spoke on the channel that we've never brought them up before, or films you expected to see which didn't, just in case you caught us out, who knows? But please do get involved. And obviously, first and foremost, before we really kickstart this, a massive thank you to everyone that watches our videos. We wouldn't be here 10 years later if we didn't have people watching our stuff. We would probably still have something, but it might be an archive at that point in time, not actual different videos. So the people at home that support us, that comment, that chat to us, that message us, you're the reason we're allowed to still make stuff, still do stuff. And that is obviously going to continue as well. So yeah, it's May. We'll talk about what's to come at the end of the video, but Tate, you go first.
yeah, here we go. We're kicking off our top 50 list here today with a Christmas film, a very modern Christmas film as well. And I had a choice of two things here, two which were very close to actually both getting onto the list, but one of them snuck in the end. And people know that I absolutely adore animated films. And I think the first time I saw Klaus, I cried a lot. And the second time I saw Klaus, I cried a lot. And Klaus had to get onto this list purely out of the fact that I've watched it 4 or 5 years in a row now. It came out in 2019, and it has ended up being my go-to Christmas film watch and my go-to absolutely guaranteed cry film. It's phenomenal. The voice acting is great. The animation is fantastic. It really embodies the true spirit of Christmas, which is really weird to say from a Christmas film, but it really gets there, and it has rewatchability value. I absolutely adore the film and will continue watching it for many, many, many years to come.
I didn't expect Christmas film. I'm not gonna lie. I did watch it last year though. We watched it last year, and it was very good. I've seen more Christmas films the last 2 years than the last like 20. I think that's me being totally honest. But I'll go my 25th. I mean, you're not going to be able to support anything so full and different. 25 for me. I've put in True Romance. Now I don't know if this has been spoken about on this channel before. I saw this for the first time maybe it was in COVID, and then the Prince Charles Cinema was showing it, and I went with Charlie, friend of the channel. It was the Champions League final 2021. That's how I remember what day that was because it's one of the only ones I've ever missed, and it's become a favorite. And I know Tarantino's involved. I know that it's got this incredible cast. Gary Oldman's playing a Rastafarian drug dealer. You've got so many wonderful actors, some of which are one scene and dones, some of which are leading characters. Others obviously would come in and out, and you realise are going to be more Tarantino films. But this was the one that really surprised me. That I was going through like my shelves earlier when I couldn't ship a list up to about 29:30, and I was like, I'm gonna have to start chopping and changing. And True Romance just kept sort of sitting there. I fucking love this film. And this is kind of what the point of the favorite film list is. It's favorite films. It's not the best. It's not.
Yeah,
This is the most impactful on me. Maybe they're going to contribute to those as well at times for both of us. But True Romance, like I'm so happy I'm talking about it. I absolutely love it.
yeah. I've only seen True Romance once, and I really do need to watch it again. And I don't think have we talked about it on the channel before.
I don't know. I'm going to go on YouTube Studio in a minute and have a look.
Anyway, my 24th pick. I had to put this film in. It's probably one of the most personal films on this list. Um, it is one of my favorite films. I actually really enjoy it. And I'm so glad it was a good film because otherwise it would be kind of fade into the background with some of the other films that I've been a part of. But 1917 had to make it onto this list somewhere. Absolutely had to somewhere. The filmography, the cinematography, and everything that goes behind it. The fact that I was able to witness people like Sir Roger Deakins doing his work firsthand and Sam Mendes doing all of the directorial traits and all the actors involved getting into the spirit of it and being a part of it. And it was just one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And the fact that the film turned out to be a brilliant film with massive rewatchability value. And I mean, it's incredible. It's a phenomenal film. You go back and watch it, and it's completely flawless. It's brilliant across the entire board. The music is absolutely stunning. I listen to the soundtrack all the time,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's probably the most personal film in this list because of that. But it had to get on there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this. I've got the vinyl behind me. You can't see it, no one can ever see. People, I've got all these films. No one ever gets to see the vinyls.
Mm.
But I love getting soundtracks, and Thomas Newman's score is amazing. It's one of the best war films we've had in a very long time.
I was
Obviously,
going to say, bit odd that I've started with two films from 2019 back to back, but
you know what? The recency stuff. I've got some very new films on here, like, and I was really surprised because you are going to get recency bias to an extent, but I've always sort of, and I've had this discussion with friends for like, why can't a new film be a favorite film for someone? Like, I understand more in the debate of is this the best one ever made. You want to give it time to settle because time's the greatest ally for those conversations. But when it's your favorite, there's absolutely anything you could do with that that's going to put towards it. And 1917 is obviously an amazing film with that. If I took my 24th, I'm going to a franchise for the first time. It won't be the last time. And this was, again, and this is the key with favourites. So the way I did this, when I was picking my favourites, there are films in franchises which we know are the best and the conversation the best. But my favourite isn't always going to be the best film. Now, if we were doing a top 10 ranking like the big ones we do with 25 points, let's announce the big retrospective at the end of the video. That's just reminded me. Because that's going to be huge. My favourite doesn't tend to be regarded as the best. But if it was a top 10, sorry, that's where I was going, I'd have to combine the pair. Where is it with regards to quality and favoritism and what gives it the edge? So top 10 listed really hard compared to these where it's just obvious what's your favorite film. And I've gone for Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade because, going back to the point, Raiders is obviously the one everyone says the best, but if I was going to put one on, granted, I just do the trilogy in a session every time. The third one, Last Crusade, it's like one of the greatest trilogy endings of all time for me. I love it. I can't go wrong with it. I'm a huge fan. You've got one of the best directors in the world, one of the best casts, screen legends everywhere, John Williams doing the score, action set pieces. It's amazing. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I mean, it was one of my favorite. I think it was my favorite Spielberg film, which I picked up in the end. It's fantastic. I absolutely love it. Yeah, I think out of all the films, if I was told to go and rewatch one, it would be a complete toss up between Raiders or Last Crusade. But I feel like I'd probably go Last Crusade because I think I've seen Raiders more and I'd want to rewatch that again. But phenomenal film, absolutely phenomenal film. Okay, now moving on to my number 23. This is surprisingly the only superhero film on my list. The only one. And it's not one that people would probably think of or pick. Some people would. Some people, if you've been following the channel close enough, you might know this is my favorite superhero film of all time, but I'm picking Watchmen. I think Zack Snyder nailed it. I think he hasn't met the standard anywhere near since. But for this one film, he absolutely nailed the tone. He nailed the characters. He nailed the vibe that you get from that universe. And it's one of the only comics I've read back to front, like full comic series. And it is a phenomenal feat. It's one of the only films where the slow motion actually works. And I mean, I rewatched it again last year for our superhero Mount Rushmore thing, and my god, like it still holds up. Doesn't matter which version you watch, whether you watch the ultimate cut or the original, they're both great. They're both fantastic, and it had to be on this list.
No, absolutely. Watchmen is. I've only seen it once, but it's amazing. It's one of his better films, isn't it? I've got no Zack Snyder films on my list. I don't know if that's going to upset some people or not. But my 23rd pick, this is going to be the first time I bring him back to, who might appear a few more times. I think this isn't an actor who needed a career resurgence, but I somewhat feel this was a big film in a career resurgence path. I've got on here Edge of Tomorrow, of course, starring Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt. Now, Tom Cruise is still the biggest film star in the world in 2014, but I feel like, I know we're in 2025, I feel the last 10 years, I don't want to get into, it's not even politics, is it? It's technically religion, but it's not. You had that War of the Worlds through to, Scientology, blah, 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 all that stuff. And I think he sort of not dipped to an extent, but his films wasn't performing and his PR wasn't what it is again now. And I just remember going in to watch Edge of Tomorrow, I had absolutely no expectation on the film. It had good reviews. I was 2014, so I was at college at the time. And I just remember being blown away. And I hadn't seen Groundhog Day. I'd not seen one of those repeat the same day over type films, a really underrated genre where I think you get very few good films because it's not easy to make those films. If I'm completely honest, you've got to be a really good writer to do that. And this is just one of my go-to, like, enjoyable Tom Cruise action films. The mecha suits are fucking cool as fuck. I'd love this to have this as like a PlayStation game or something. Not just living the same day, but just to be in the war. I know it's obviously a whole World War II parody that they've got to protect the beaches of Dunkirk, but it's aliens, not Germans coming in this time around. It's such a great film, and I think everyone always brings up doing a sequel. I don't think we're ever going to get it. We don't need it. But at the same time, if they want to revisit it post Mission Impossible, go for it, Mr. Cruise. But this is when I've got a really cool 4K box set behind me. And this is the thing with 4K. Sorry to segue. I've always said 4K is going to be the last home media. And seems to me every time you get like a non-new film out, they go all out of like a collector's edition. Nothing too extravagant like the old days, but you get just a cool box set with more like behind-the-scenes interviews. They seem to put a bit more effort into their releases, and Live Die Repeat / Edge of Tomorrow's got one of the best ones.
Yeah, no, fantastic film. And yeah, I'd say it was a springboard. I love Oblivion, which was a film he did the year before. But I mean, you look at the box office success that, he had. It was the year before. It was 2013 Oblivion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He went on a streak. But Edge of Tomorrow, fantastic film. I think it merits a sequel, but at the same time, I doubt we're going to get it at this point. But anyway, keeping in the genre of sci-fi, let's go back in time a bit. Let's go for an absolute all-time classic, which was despised on release and then people loved it afterwards. Let's go with Blade Runner, Ridley Scott's masterpiece. Absolutely phenomenal film. I remember the first time I watched it with my dad, and he's twigged on. There we go.
I've worked out. Yeah, sorry, I got really excited then.
That's a spoiler for later. No, absolutely phenomenal film. Really phenomenal film. Groundbreaking sci-fi film. Performances across the board were brilliant. Breathtaking visuals and a look towards the future that's kind of slightly becoming real. Kind of, in every sense. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It's philosophical. It's melancholic. It's action-packed. It's got everything that a film needs. Yeah, I don't really know much more to say about it. It's been talked about on the channel loads of times before. We always wax lyrical about it, so no need to wax lyrical more. It's on my list.
Yeah, we bring Tom on. We'll get a 3 hour video.
Oh yeah.
Shout out Tom. Tom, one of the sort of OGs, has been here a very long time, been doing videos with us for 10 years. Okay, my 22nd pick. This is recency bias. This, I think, is the most recent thing on here for me. I don't think anything else is. I've got Godzilla -1 because it's been out, what, a year and a half now? This led me to almost watch 37 Godzilla films straight after. I got a third of the way through and life got in the way, genuinely. That would have been a humongous thing for the 70th anniversary last year. I watched a lot of kaiju Godzilla films last year, put it that way. And every single time I watch them, I'm just like, this. I know it's not going to be Godzilla -1. And I know we've now got the announcement of Godzilla -2 or Godzilla Zero. I don't know what technically comes next. But there's something about this film, and it isn't even about Godzilla. It isn't even about the monsters. It's just about the post-war alternate Japan, where it's this drama, it's this family drama of just this thing that keeps coming out to haunt someone. And it's weird to call it a favorite film, but it's so satisfying at the same time. Every time I watch it, it's really powerful. And it's about like the power of the people in a non sort of cringy way. It's again post-war Japan. The emperor sort of let them all down. They're all rebuilding their lives, and this monster just won't go away. It's just destroying them once more. You all know what it's about. It is just unbelievable, and I always go back to it now. Like, it's hit meme culture. It's everywhere. To me, it's the best Godzilla film. Some will disagree. Some will agree. But this isn't a pick representing the Godzilla franchise either. This is just this one film. And again, when I'm looking at the shelves, I'm writing down my favourites. I'm like, could anything sneak on I forget about? And I just, the case has got just his eyes staring at you. And I was just sat there like, yeah, Godzilla -1's making the list. And when I had 30 and was narrowing it down, this was comfortably in, just about technically, but it was comfortably there. And I think even a year and a half later, its reputation hasn't disappeared at all. I want to see the black and white edition.
And I think it's going to stand the test of time. And not just because it's a Godzilla film, so it's part of a massive franchise, but the film itself, the storyline and everything, I think it's going to stand the test of time. I mean, the visuals for what the budget for the visuals were is just ridiculous. Like, I don't think we'll get a situation like that ever again. I hope we do, but I don't think we ever will. But absolutely fantastic film, fantastic pick. I've only ever seen it once, but I need to watch it again. Another modern pick, another 2019 pick, hilariously. This is one which I think I've probably my most watched film over the last 5 years, probably, quite possibly, and that's Knives Out. I think I've seen it about 10 times in the last 5 years, and it doesn't get old. I love Glass Onion as well. I couldn't put them together and say I love the franchise as a whole straight away. Depends on how Wake Up Dead Man goes, but honestly, I mean, the original Knives Out, I don't want to say it's a game changer, because it just did what other films have done before, just modernized it. And I love murder mystery films. I absolutely adore murder mystery films. I wish there was more murder mystery films that had this kind of vibe, this kind of, solve your own film cleverness that comes with it. Rian Johnson really cooked with it. And yeah, I'm glad that it created a franchise. I don't mind Daniel Craig's accent as well. I just want to point that out there. It's just such a fun film to watch. Like, the performances and everything behind it is so fun. And that's why it's on the list.
Yeah, it was a game changer as well for I think, I say game changer. Rian Johnson's been very vocal of his Netflix criticism recently. The man will be free in October to make his Star Wars trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see it. Don't think it's happening, but who knows? 21 for me. I've gone for a film that I don't say means a lot to me. I've got just unbelievable memories watching this as a teenager. Leon the Professional. Now, this definitely hasn't had a video on the channel.
No, it hasn't, no.
I think I brought it up in like a what we've been watching type thing, but long story short, when I was a teenager getting to film, I'd always go to my neighbours over the road for like a film every Thursday. His old like friend would come over, we'd all have like beers, and it became an education that each week, because they knew I would get into films, I'd get to watch Top Gun, I'd get to watch Heat, I'd get to watch Goodfellas. Like, I was getting shown all the classics every week, and it was perfect because I was watching stuff at home anyway. And my parents were pretty chill, so I didn't have to worry about like, oh, I didn't go to watch 18s. Leon was a game changer because obviously you got young Natalie Portman, and obviously I'm in Star Wars, so I'm like, oh my god, child Natalie Portman, cool. And Leon's this cool assassin. He's French. He's from Pink Panther. That's how I knew him. And then you had Norman Stansfield as Gary Oldman, who's one of my favorite actors, which people obviously have liked me speak about loads on the channel. Shout out Slow Horses again. And it's just one of the best villain performances ever. And I know it's been memed of everyone, Bring Me Everybody now. It's such a great film. I do not like Luc Besson as a director, especially when you look at a lot of his other stuff and his actual, outside of film stuff. But there's something about this film that works so well, and it shouldn't. And I've not seen a film like it since. Don't think I ever will. And every time I revisit it, it's so exciting. It's got a great score by Eric Serra. It's one of my favorites. This is one of those films that if I saw it advertised for Prince Charles, I'd make the effort to go down to see it on the big screen. I've not had that pleasure yet, but absolutely love it.
Yeah, I've once again only seen it once, but this is good that we're doing this because I'm just noting down all the films that I need to go and watch again. I've only seen once, and do you know what? This film is going to be rewatched this month, or at least not this month, the next month for what we watched, because it's been a while since I've seen it, and I don't think we've actually discussed it on the channel before. I'm not actually quite sure. But my number 20 pick, so into the top 20, is The Truman Show. Probably, and I'll go ahead and say it, it's probably the best dramatic performance by a comedic actor, in my opinion. It's a film that has so much emotion and heart behind it. For a character actor like Jim Carrey, it's so detached from what he normally does, his wackiness, the faces he pulls and everything like that. And it's so much more grounded. And I can't see anyone else playing that role of Truman. It's just such a good storyline, such a good film. It's a critique on reality TV. It's a critique on, people who just sit down and watch TV in the evenings. It's fantastic. I absolutely love it. And once again, haven't seen it in about 4 or 5 years. Probably worth having another go and having another rewatch. But I remember in my teenage years, I used to watch it on loop, and I absolutely adored the film. So, absolutely love it.
I think I saw it for the first time like a year or two ago, and I really enjoyed it. And it was, there's those films where you've not seen it, but you've seen like every clip under the sun. But when you watch it, it's actually still very different. It was that, and I really enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of Jim Carrey. I love him to pieces, and I think that is one of his best roles. And also, the film is like decades ahead of itself. Like, you look at everything that's come in the last 25 years, that like epitomizes where the planet was going in terms of social media statuses, like celebrity obsessions, all those kinds of things. Product placement, you name it, that film covered it. It's amazing. My 20th place. This might be the first film. No, Godzilla -1. I was going to say, is this the first film on my list that came out as we were doing reviews? No. But this is the first of a director who's going to pop up loads. Dunkirk is going in by Christopher Nolan, 20th. It's really weird to put war films in favourite films. I've got a few. I love the genre. I loved History at School. I spoke about it too much on the channel. But this one in particular, not just because it was a Nolan film, I was so curious to see a Dunkirk film done, especially by a Nolan type. And it is one of his best films. I'll be honest, I've not put Oppenheimer on the list because I couldn't just flood it with Nolan films, but at the same time, it's not in that level yet. I've had time with Dunkirk. It's the Hans Zimmer score that's superb. Everything based off a clock. It's flying actual fucking Spitfires with IMAX cameras following them. That is still just one of like the best visual images I've ever seen at a cinema. Seeing like the BFI IMAX, I think I've seen it like 7 times at the cinema at this point. It's got to be like a record with I think Phantom Menace for me. But yeah, I can't have much more to what I've said about this in the past. Like, I've spoken about it so many times on the channel. It's just unbelievable. And it's so short as well. It's like, you got 2 hours, you got an empty house where the sound's not going to be an issue if you cause an earthquake. Great, get Dunkirk on.
Yeah, no, I agree. And yes, there will be Nolan films on my list as well. But not my next pick. My next pick is a comedy film that, God, once again, is probably one of my most watched films of all time, just because it's so easy to just put on. And there's been talks of a sequel. They kind of ish did a sequel, but it was more of a charity event, and that is Dodgeball, or the full title, Dodgeball: A True Underdog Story. Yeah, Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn. It's so funny. It's just a laugh a minute film, and it gets me every single time. And I love sports films as well, so it has that kind of double up on all of that. I absolutely love it. It's a great film. Don't really know much more we can say about it.
It's a classic. I'm still surprised we haven't had a sequel. Maybe
No,
if Happy Gilmore 2's good,
it's
I
been in
feel like
talks for years. It's been in
this is it.
talks for
Like
years.
I've got this. I mean, I know it's a different decade still, but if Happy Gilmore 2 is good, I think we're going to have this weird surge of comedy sequels from like the 90s noughties that no one sort of asked for, because the ones that have been done have all been rubbish. But Dodgeball's just amazing. Its cast is so fucking good, and it's Ben Stiller. I need to watch Severance. That's a great reminder. Okay, my next pick. How do you follow Dunkirk? 19th. I've just got Jurassic Park. Let's get it on there.
Okay.
I'm not doing the trilogy, the franchise, just Jurassic Park. I think it's one of the greatest films ever made, and it just so happens to be one of the most wonderful films ever made. From a technological standpoint, one of the most important films in cinema history. From an audience perspective, one of the biggest films in history. It is just amazing. It's got so many great characters. It's got so many cool dinosaurs, and that's what. It's weird, isn't it? Like you see these memes about like 100 Men versus a Gorilla, and you see all these other things. Like people just want to see dinosaurs on the big screen. And I know we're going to get it again this year with Gareth Edwards, which is something at least. But the original Jurassic Park, I just can't not talk about. So yeah, easily on mine, and it'll probably be a lot higher on a lot of other people's lists if we brought other people on.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just a classic, isn't it? I have many friends who have it as their favorite film of all time. It's brilliant. I think this season when I was out in Austria, they just threw it on the TV a few times, and you just sit down, you just kind of you watch, and you love the film and you enjoy it. It would have made my top 30, didn't make the top 25. But my next film, a break from genre, a completely different genre entirely, and that is the romance drama, and a film that always reminds me of home, and a film that will always take me back to there. And it's Brooklyn. It's Brooklyn. I love Brooklyn. It's a great film. Saoirse Ronan gives probably her best career performance in a career that she's multi-time Oscar nominated. Will she get nominated more? Probably, yeah. She'll probably win one day, maybe. But Brooklyn is one of the subtlest and quietest films, but it has so much heart and it has so much impact, and it's an outcry for people who leave home. And I'll always watch it when I'm homesick. I'll always watch it if I'm feeling like me going away, and is it the right thing and stuff like that. It's that film that brings me back, and ever since I first watched it, it has been that film, and it will remain to be that film.
I've still not seen it, and it's been on this channel. I think it came out the first year we did this channel.
I remember reviewing it. Yeah.
I will watch it one day. I love Saoirse Ronan and her partner Jack Loudon, who's an amazing actor as well. My number 18. Okay, I've got what will be the only animated film in my list, which you probably know what this is going to be, and this is a representation for the franchise. Yes, all four of them. Toy Story 2 is going on mine. Definitively my favourite Pixar film, my favourite Toy Story film. The memories as a child of the Toy Story 2 PS1 game. This film in particular, Owl's Toy Barn, everything about this had like a massive impact on me growing up. And I think Pixar, without getting arrogant, is this wonderful studio where as you get older and people tell you that Pixar films are for children, you go to Pixar films and you're kind of like, these aren't for children. These are heavy. Like, yes, kids are going to enjoy them, but the kids aren't going to really get them. And I know that's in latter ones, not necessarily Toy Story 2, but there's just something so perfect about the second Toy Story film. I absolutely love it. It's a favourite of mine. Anytime it's on, I'll watch it. And that goes for all four of them. Maybe nearer three of them, but certainly the second one.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely adore Toy Story 2. In fact, Pixar as a whole, there was the chance there could have been 2 or 3 Pixar films on this list.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Pixar a little bit later. My next film, we're going to a big franchise, one that's been talked about a lot on the channel over the last few years, and I'm sure all of our friends of the channel from this side of things will rejoice in the fact that Casino Royale has made it onto the list. I know, I'll pause for applause there. It's the best Bond film. I've said that, all the way through. It's a phenomenal action film in general. Has my opinion, the best Bond song. It has everything going for it. It was a new introduction to Daniel Craig as Bond. It was a wind back in time, but also it was modern. It was smooth. It was sexy. It was everything you'd want from a Bond film. It was also brutal. I mean, the rope scene, for example, it's a horrifying film, but it did such a good job of just being entertaining. Like with Bond, it did a great job of rebooting the franchise. And yeah, it's one of those, once again, it's one of the most rewatchable films in my opinion. So,
No, very
consider it.
fair. I'll be talking about Bond later too, because there's no way we can't talk about Bond.
Yeah.
17th for me. Okay, I've got a fair few franchises that are going to start popping up. This is a weird one because I'm kind of picking the franchise, I'm kind of not. But this is a series that has a tremendous impact on me. I've put Rocky 1 on here. It's I'm not saying don't include Creed. Like the whole Rocky series, bar Rocky 5, I actually think is one of the greatest series ever made and should be in discussions for that, but it isn't because they're just not as big as other things. But for me, at least, who has no background in boxing, just to clarify, has never ever punched a bag in the right gloves or done training, whatever. That these, I think, are some of the most inspirational films ever made. And even think, without getting too personal, as someone that, if anyone's watched this channel for 10 years, you'll see notorious weight gains, weight losses, weight gains, weight losses from me. The Rocky films are always at the start of a diet that they go on, particularly the first one. I still won't go out for a run because I can't do long distance running, but they are what get me in the mood. Every single exercise playlist, and this is not a joke, ends with the training montage from Creed 2. That 5 minutes and 3 seconds ends every single session I've done for the last 2 years. So I will be getting back onto it in the next few days. Not saying it for the sake of saying it, but Rocky's here because that's more of my impact off the film stuff, which when I get to go and watch them, I like to watch them every couple of years, and every couple of years they are just still absolutely slapping. So big up Rocky.
Big up Rocky indeed. Moving on to my number 16 pick. Going for a Guy Ritchie film, going for Snatch. Another comedy on the board. Just a brilliantly edited, framed film. Had some young stars in there who went on to go and do some things. It's the story. It's the fast-paced editing. It's all of that. It all comes together, and it's just, it's bam, 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 and yeah, absolutely love it. It's just one of those films, isn't it?
Especially when, again, I think when we look at some of the older films that we've not grown up with, but films like they'd have come out when we were younger that we would have seen probably this sounds really sad now. We'd have seen them when we were 10, 11, and they weren't that old when they came out. And as we get
Yeah.
older, we realize oh my God, we've hit the generation age where kids are looking at our films that were fairly new as really old now. And Snatch is one of them where it kickstarted so many careers and it's got so many British legends in it. Big fan, adore it. And I've got gangster films to talk about. And this is a weird one to put in a favourite film. I put the first Godfather in. And I don't mean to be obnoxious. Okay. The first time I saw this film was at college studying film. And not like I didn't get it. It's one of the films that every single time I've watched it, it's got progressively better. And if I were to sit here and say, is this the best film I've ever seen conversation, it probably would be number one. But I have so much enjoyment in very rarely watching that every time I see it, it's a treat. I come out of the film absolutely wowed. I love the performances. 70s Al Pacino, I think, is sounds like he's a wrestler. 70s Al Pacino is the greatest out version of Al Pacino there is. I know 90s is coked up Al Pacino era. But that first Godfather film, I probably prefer the second one on story. But the first one, I think it's just so satisfying. By the time you get to the ending, it's did I waste 3 hours of my day? No. Perfectly spent. And it's just a great treat every once in a while. So it kind of sneaks up on here. Didn't think I won't lie, it was dropping further and further because every film I was looking at, I'm like, do I like this more than that? And a lot of them I was like, yes, and then it just sort of hit a stop where I'm like, I actually really fucking like it. I like it more than I think I should. But not one of them Phil bros that's obsessed with it. Like, no, none of
Yeah.
that. Because I know Barbie obviously destroyed all of them, which was really funny too.
Yeah, hilariously. But no, Godfather is a classic, is a great film. Um, Another classic in a completely different standpoint. I don't know if we can hold it as a candle to The Godfather. Some people will in some circles, but Hot Fuzz is my number 15 pick. Edgar Wright, fast editing, once again, two fast editing picks in a row. But probably the quintessential kind of classic British comedy at this point. Peg and Frost as part of the Cornetto trilogy. I'd love to say I'd want to put the entire Cornetto trilogy on, but I mean,
You could.
you could, yeah. I mean, I enjoy The World's End. I think it's okay. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the other two, with Shaun of the Dead being a very, very close second to Hot Fuzz. But yeah, no, I absolutely love Hot Fuzz, and yeah, it makes it on.
Excellent. Yeah, I think it's my favourite of the three as well.
Yeah.
Not to slag off Shaun of the Dead. I just think Shaun of the Dead's like oversaturated in the UK. Looking at UITV2, but Hot Fuzz for me was the fun one. Like I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh my god! Like what is this? How have I not seen a cop film like this before? It's so good, and it's still funny every time it's shown. It's still funny. I absolutely adore Hot Fuzz. And shout out to World's End.
Yeah.
Shout out. Yeah, okay, 15 for me. Again, this is one that some people might think would have been higher, but I'm surprised at how high this actually is. I've put Interstellar on mine at number 15. And I'm curious if you think that would have been higher up.
I thought that'd
This
be higher.
is it. So this wasn't on a list originally.
Yeah.
And Interstellar is a really weird one. Like the first time I saw it, I thought, wow, this is an amazing film. I wasn't cold on it. I didn't think it was like unemotional. I did not vibe with it. I just really, to me, it wasn't Dunkirk, which was the war stuff that I really enjoyed. It wasn't The Dark Knight because I love the superhero stuff. Instead, I was like, wow, this is a very, very good film. And again, there's a difference of enjoyment, favoritism, and quality. And I think as the time's gone by of Interstellar, and I'm going to make a wild claim, which is a different video, I think Interstellar may be regarded by the general audience as Christopher Nolan's best film. Or the one people are attached to the most, maybe is a better term.
I think you would be.
Do you see where I'm going with this? Like,
yeah,
its impact is unparalleled. And I remember at the time, a lot of people didn't like it. And I was shell-shocked that people didn't like it because I thought it was very good. And I think modern sci-fi, we've had very few classics, outright old school. You mentioned the original Blade Runner earlier, that being a curtailer. I know that Nolan always compared Interstellar to 2001, but it's the emotional beats. Like, not that I'll be depressed in bed, but I'll be looking at reels and the Cooper scene at the end when she's like, I'm not going to cry on a stream. It's just, so, because I knew my dad would come back. It sets me off every time. And in COVID, before Tenet, I watched this at the IMAX. And I don't know what came over me. I didn't lose anyone to COVID or anything like that, but I just wept the whole film at the cinema. And for the first time, I was scared of the existential crisis that is the infinitality of space. And this film destroyed me. And I love it. It is one of my favourite films. It's one of my favourite scores. It's one of the greatest scores ever made. And yeah, I didn't know it'd be in this list until literally 3 hours ago.
It's a phenomenal film. It is a truly phenomenal film. I think you're right. I think the general public do look at it as one of Nolan's best, maybe because it's so grand and epic compared to the others. I think the only one that outside of that could maybe hold itself to it would be Inception, as the only other one that maybe the public kind of clued in on and would kind of get as their best. But no, absolutely adore Interstellar. My number 14 pick is a franchise pick, and this is the Raid franchise. Now, I've put down Raid 2 here, but realistically, Raid 1, Raid 2 are slightly different films, but very, very good films. Some of the best action films in recent years, and dear Lord, please, please make a Raid Part 3. My God, please.
Did you see Havoc? Sorry to jump in.
Haven't seen Havoc yet.
I
No,
haven't seen it either. No.
I'd heard that the
Sorry,
action was
Sarah.
good. I'd heard the action was good, but I heard that the story was lacking. I really, really want Gareth Evans to go back and yeah, go
Do
do
the
it
trilogy.
because the films are fantastic, and Iko Uwais as a martial artist actor, underused in Star Wars for one,
Yeah.
underused in whatever. Was he in one of the Expendables films or something like that? Like, and I haven't even
Oh
seen the
God,
film.
he was
I
in the
know he's
third. Was he in the third one?
he was in the most
No,
recent
or the
one, I think.
fourth one.
Yeah,
The Expendables.
and I'm assuming he was once again underused completely. Um, honestly, the film's brilliant. The plot doesn't need to be too big. First film is escape from this tower block. The second film is pretty much infiltrate this gang. There's so many places you could go from there,
Yeah.
and the universe was only just starting to be opened up. Filming in Indonesia and places across the world. What a phenomenal franchise to only have two films. Can't believe they stopped there.
It's crazy because the Raid 2 was written before the Raid 1.
Yeah,
And it was like, no, you kind of the budget for that. Okay, let me make this low budget action film in a hotel block. Great. Now let's make the Raid 2.
yeah.
I don't think we're ever going to get a third one, are we? I'd love to.
Oh,
I would love to so much.
I'd so love to. But Raid 2 would be the pick, but realistically, it's the Raid franchise in at 14.
Yeah, that's fair. My 14th. It's one film from a two-film franchise, but I'm not picking the franchise. And unfortunately, Jared Leto might come ruin it at the end of the year. Tron Legacy.
Hmm.
Phew, again, one of the I don't want to say childhood films because I was 14 when this came out. First IMAX film I'd ever seen. It's always got that conversation for me. This introduced me to IMAX. This is one of the best cinema experiences I've ever had. It's got one of the greatest film scores of all time for me. The impact this film has had, the desperation for a sequel that I no longer want because of who's in it. Joseph Kosinski mentioned Oblivion earlier. Joseph Kosinski is about to release the F1 film,
Mm.
whilst his Tron 3, which was basically his Tron 2, ceased to be. Not over that, but this film, yeah, it's everything I want from a cinema trip. It's so enjoyable. I need the 4K release because they still haven't done it. I won't watch it in principle till the 4K version's out. I don't know if they're ever going to release it. They probably will with the new one out this year, but I just love that world. It's something so different, and it's really controversial. I just don't care for the original. It's just this one in particular is just a game changer. There's a poster behind me. I don't know if it's even visible, like if people can know, but that is
Slightly.
the Tron poster. Yeah, I was worried it's sticking out, so I'm gonna have a heart attack now.
It
Yeah,
is.
that's my 14th.
I'd say the original is like a classic video game, like arcade game, and this is like a video computer game that you play on a console or something like that, or anything. It has one of the best scores, like going. Daft Punk absolutely did their work on that, and visually stunning. Storyline's very simple. I'd say the technology is way ahead of its time as well. We've had bad CGI de-aging since then, and I'd say that CGI de-aging isn't as bad as people say it is. It's good. It's a phenomenal film. I want to see more of the Tron universe, but I kind of wish that Joseph Kosinski kind of took his hand to that again. I know. I mean, we've talked about. We didn't really talk about Oblivion, but we've talked about at least two of his films. I don't know if Top Gun Mavericks make it onto your list or not. I have no idea. It might do, but
it's amazing that again, since not getting a second Tron, he's done Top Gun Maverick. He's done Oblivion, as you said, and he's doing an F1. They're developing new tech to put in an F1 car to do a film. Like, it's wild. And no, we're not going to have your. Listen, I'll say this joke side. I really do hope the new Tron film is good. Nine Inch Nails doing the score, which is as good as you're going to get now that Daft Punk have officially retired. It is just Jared, and the trailer looked very fucking cool, but it's just Jared Leto. I can't. I'm sorry.
It depends. Do we get Dallas Buyers Club, and I guess a little bit of Blade Runner because he wasn't too much in it, so he wasn't insufferable, or do we get Suicide Squad?
I think we're going to get near a Suicide Squad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sorry to put a downer, but yeah, Tron Legacy though, hooray!
Yeah. Let's talk about a film that we've already talked about a bit, and I want to talk more about it because the score is phenomenal. And yes, I do think the audiences genuinely think it's Nolan's best film. It is Interstellar. what
Uh,
what a brilliant film Interstellar is as my number 13 pick. It's one of those films that is, once again, it makes you cry. It's very emotional, but the sci-fi scale and epicness of the film itself, it just becomes bigger every time you watch it. Um, I absolutely love every single act of the film. I think that it builds beautifully. Um, it genuinely might be one of my favorite film scores of all time. It's definitely up there as one that I'll always listen to if I want to just zone out or chill out or anything like that. Um, it's the film has kind of gained a cult legacy, but now that's become a bit more public, hasn't it? Like it's no longer a cult legacy. It's now more of a, oh, that's just general opinion that it is, one of his best films, and maybe slightly underregarded when it first came out. I don't think people kind of fully understood what they were watching completely, and I think upon rewatch and given a bit of time, it will end up becoming one of those all-time kind of classic films, like classic sci-fi adventures.
I think it already is. There
Mm.
was a re-release last year which was humongous, but it wasn't as big as Revenge of the Sith re-release. I think that's now the second biggest re-release ever. But Interstellar was massive last year, and 70mm IMAX was sold out again on loop for everyone that wanted to go.
Yeah.
It had this incredible status, and the fact it's only 10 years as well. I think a lot's changed in that 10 years, and I think it's following on from Dark Knight Rises. It was that expectation, like, what do you do after Dark Knight Rises? And I think it's interesting that Nolan could have played it safe. He could have done another superhero. I'm not saying like a Batman, but I mean, like, he could have done an action film. He could have done anything, but he went so wildly out there with Interstellar, sci-fi, old school sci-fi, that really then kickstarted getting into Dunkirk. His films are just so different from one another that there's that beautiful consistency within it. My 13th pick is another war film. It's actually the last war film that's going to make my list. Saving Private Ryan. The greatest opening 30 minutes in cinema history. Fine, I'll have that conversation. Again, being a history nerd at school, this was the one. This was the go-to. Sorry, I almost said Gary Neville said this is the deal breaker. The one that won't miss. But it's an unbelievable film. It's got an incredible cast. It then led us to get Band of Brothers, which led to the Pacific and Master of the Air. It's a remarkable film, and I think it's again I think the second Spielberg film on my list. It just demonstrates him as director. His work's so varied, yet he is, I think, the best ever to do it. And this is the best war film ever for me personally. I know some people will name other films, that's fine, but I just think there's something about this that you get the horror of war. And this is what, not like, it's kind of the best tagline ever, whilst not like veterans got PTSD watching the film. That's the greatest compliment this film could have ever had. I'm sorry, that's horrible to say, but
Yeah.
that is the best compliment the film could have for its realism. And I love it. I love the whole film, not just the first 8 minutes.
No, it's a phenomenal feat of cinema, but also it is a brilliant film. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. Moving on to number 12. Um, I'm going back to that franchise. I'm going with Blade Runner 2049. And I know we talked a little bit about Jared Leto and slightly ruining things. I actually don't mind his performance in this film, especially when I rewatched it last year. He's barely in the film. For the character that he is, it's fine. What I love a bit more about the film is, the character progression, Ryan Gosling's character, bringing back Harrison Ford, Anna de Armas. It is a brilliant, beautiful film. Denis absolutely just made that universe. It's kind of took what Ridley Scott had done and not only made it his own, but also expanded upon it further. And just the story behind it, the visuals behind it, the score as well is beautiful. It's just a brilliant all-round sci-fi epic film that takes the first film and takes it
Yeah.
even further. And we're getting more things from that universe now, and I think that's a springboard because of this film. I think this universe is going to open up purely out of the fact that this film was such a success, but it was just so well put together. And as far as legacy sequels are concerned, I mean, we've had a few over the kind of last 10 years. Some have been really successful. I'm looking at like Mad Max and various different things like that. Some have been less successful. And I think Blade Runner kind of tops the pile with all of them, with being the one that was just, as a legacy sequel, it got like Oscar nominated for Best Picture. Like, it was a good film. It was good enough to be put forward for that. But I enjoy it upon rewatch. I need to take time between rewatches because it is quite an
Yeah.
emotionally heavy film, but at the same time, it is beautiful and brilliant every single time I watch it.
There's a conversation to be had about legacy films that don't deserve to be made, and I think the Blade Runner concept was so outrageous as a sequel
Yeah.
that the fact it didn't just end up being good, but it ended up surpassing the original, many would now say. The cast, you look at what the cast has done since, like Anna Diarmas's career has blown up to the next level. Denis has then gone and done the Dune films, and he was on like the insane streak of streaks as a director at that point anyway. It's an incredible film, and the fact that it didn't perform well at the box office is just the whole conversation that it doesn't need to be a box office hit to be a classic film. And I think that one it's still actually outrageous if you think about the fact that it exists, but the fact that it exists and it's good is remarkable. Well worth watching. Another Hans Zimmer score.
Yeah.
My 12th pick. Okay, this is a franchise pick. This is the most not lamest idea. I don't have a lot to say. I'm going Harry Potter, and I'm gonna specify Prisoner of Azkaban for the sake of video and continuity. It's the best out of that series. It's the one I enjoy the most on a rewatch because I get to get back to Prisoner of Azkaban. There are murmurs that Mr. Quaron may be directing the next James Bond film now that David Heyman is one of the two producers, which is a conversation to be had when they actually announce a director. I said like it's a bad thing. We're not waiting long. They've only just hired the producers, but it's the comfort franchise. It's our generation. We grew up with it. We got to see those books coming out every couple of years. We then got to see the films coming out every couple of years. I always say this. I was in reception we were in year one. We were in year one when Philosopher's Stone came out because we're in the same year group, and we were in year 10 when Deathly Hallows Part 2. That's like the entire academia of schooling.
We followed them through our own academia as they were growing up.
And even the generation a couple of years above us, theirs will be, hey, we were at school when the first book came out, and we were still in education when the last film came out. And I think it is, I don't want to call it generational. Like, we know the generations below us are watching them. We know that their parents have grown up with them. So it is almost like I don't want to call it the next Star Wars. I know it's obviously very controversial at the moment. It's got a reboot. It's got everything else going on, but I can't take that away from the impact of those films and the quality of those films. Again, like, not disrespectfully, they shouldn't be as good as they are. Like, as in, I don't want to say if it was getting made today. Well, it is getting made today, but if it wasn't already made and successful, I don't think they would come out the way they have.
Yeah.
I think it'd be very different. I don't think that first book would get done the way it was. I don't think you'd have some of the rules put in place. And, without talking Trump and tariffs, this is very much the big franchise that's set in motion. All of Hollywood coming and putting their projects here. That was the real big story and all that. So, I won't dwell on Harry Potter too much because I don't have a lot to say, but it's more of a collective response there.
As the entire franchise. But I'd agree as well. I think Prisoners is kind of the best out of the bunch, if I was to pick. Okay, on to number 11. A controversial pick amongst my family when I was having a chat with them about this. Purely because they don't like it, but I absolutely adore this film. Has probably one of my favourite film endings out of all of these on this list, and that is La La Land. Damien Chazelle, his second film.
So, I thought it'd be higher. I thought it'd be higher.
You thought it'd be higher? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's why I made a noise. And
it was a little bit higher, and then it started to slip down the list. And the reason why is because I was looking at the list in general, and I was like, oh, actually, no, I really like that film. Oh, that film I haven't talked about. Oh, and I really do enjoy it. And it was just kind of like, it slowly kind of crept its way down. Realistically, anything from, I'd say, 12 upwards, pretty much 12 to 3, between the 12 slot and the third slot, they're all interchangeable. They can pretty much move in between them. It was really hard to kind of show favoritism to any of these films because I think they're on. You know how people do like tier lists and stuff like these films from 12 to 3 are all on the same tier. They're all kind of considered the same, but La La Land just ended up in 11th outside the top 10 by the end of it. Once I'd kind of typed everything in, it's a beautiful musical, and I'll explain this to everyone every single time I talk about it. The music, and people say, "Oh, there's not enough music in it." The music stops when there's nothing to sing about, and the whole point of musicals is it's when there's so much emotion building up that you have to go and sing to get it out and have it as a release. The music stops in the film because the film plateaus, like their relationship plateaus, and something like that is so beautiful in a film where there's layers behind the different work that goes into it. I could talk about La La Land for hours. I absolutely love it. It's my favorite musical film of all time. I think the performances are great. I think the dance numbers are great. I think the cinematography is absolutely stunning with the LA skyline, and the ending. The ending gets me every single time. It's one of the things which almost kind of not puts me off rewatching it every single time, because I'm like, oh god, I'm just going to burst into tears at the ending. It's going to get me emotionally. It's going to put me in that bittersweet mood. Do I really want to go there? Kind of situations. But it is such a phenomenal film because of all those things.
I've still only seen it once, and it is a film I actually do want to rewatch. I know, not a bit. Oh yeah, life's different, but that is one of the films where a decade between a release is going to change people's like thoughts on it. I think it was 2016 it came out, or 17.
Yeah,
But I will rewatch it one day, and I think I will have a completely different experience
it's
rewatching
really
it.
funny because it seems like the internet is half and half divided on whether it still should have won that Best Picture over Moonlight. There's a lot of people defending Moonlight and saying
I,
Moonlight was a great film, but Moonlight's kind of slipped out of favor in the last few years, and La La Land's kind of cropped back up into the conversation of, oh, should it have won in the end? Because it's got more of a legacy.
I say I see more Moonlight these days. As in, when it happened, I felt like it was like 9 to 10. It was just outrage. Obviously, the event
Mm.
itself was just outrageous anyway. But I think I've seen so many more Moon. I've still not seen Moonlight, by the way.
Have you not?
No, when it was the Oscars, I was like, when was the last time I didn't see a
I
Best
think
Picture win? It's Moonlight.
it's really difficult because Moonlight is a great film, but I feel
Two
like I can
completely
only
different
watch
films.
it. I've watched it once, and I was
Never
very
again.
content with watching it once, and now I'm like, if I want to go watch it
Yeah,
again, it's like, give it a few more years even before I can watch it again.
yeah. I'll watch them both one day. Who knows? My 11th is one that is recent to the extent of recent cinema. I'm surprised this didn't make the top 10. I've got Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It is one of my favorite films. I still believe this is Quentin Tarantino's best film. It feels like the accumulation of his career. It's been 6 years and there's still no sign of the next Tarantino film. We're for some reason getting a spin-off sequel, which is going to be directed by Fincher about Cliff Booth, which I'll be completely honest, I'm not entirely sure about. I know Tarantino's written the script for it, but I love this film so much. It's the soundtrack, it's the performances, it's the leads, it's the era, the attempt. I know Tarantino grew up in Hollywood, like LA. I know he remembers those cars and everything, and he is not like a Nolan. I don't want to compare him because they're different filmmakers, but it's that approach. Like I want to make this exactly like how it was back then, and the film's so much better for it, and the ending is still so. It's really weird to talk about. I saw someone do a tweet about Thunderbolts / the New Avengers. I guess we can say now,
Mm.
and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and someone put Thunderbolts asterisk and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood are the two films that actually earned the title reveals at the ending. And it did make me think of Once Upon a Time because it does end with the fairy tale of this is the alternate history in which, these terrible murders didn't happen. But I just love the vibe of this film. Like the summer of 2019, the sun's boiling, you can put the score on, you can go for a
Mm.
drive. Like it's amazing. When I go to LA in 2027 for that convention, I will probably have this soundtrack on a lot. But yeah, I'm surprised you can't see it behind me. Well, you can see the corner of the car. That is one of the first ever quad posters I bought. I have no intention of ever selling it. I think I got it for like 30 quid and now it goes for like 100 plus. But yeah, love this film so much.
We've had so many picks from 2019.
You know what? You get this like every other year is like a banger for film.
Yeah.
It always seems that way. Like with Moaning Wonder, like nothing came out, and then the next year is like just wild. And 2019, it was it was the last pre-COVID year.
Maybe we look back on it in this great nostalgia, but I think the films were good when they
Oh,
came
not
out as well.
nostalgia. No, this is what I'm
No,
saying. They were great. That was when like no film was failing. Like, everyone was going to the cinema non-stop. Like, was there like 10 films that grossed $1 billion that year, or it was near the record? Like,
something like that. Yeah,
yeah. And oh man, Once Upon a Time, loved it, loved it, loved it.
brilliant. Okay, we're entering into the top 10, and my 10th pick is Once Upon a Time in the West.
Oh, so
Um,
close.
um, I've gone for the Western. I don't know if people actually know this about me, but I absolutely love this film. I think it is probably my favorite kind of, should we say, old-timey classic film to go back and watch. I think during COVID, when I was stuck in Austria, I watched it about 3 times because I was like obsessed with that film at that time. But I'd loved the film before then. The score is phenomenal. The plot is brilliant. It is the best spaghetti western. Not probably, it is the best spaghetti western. It's the best western film ever made. I know we've had space westerns and other types of western, but pure western, this is the go-to film. It's a long film, but it's one of those where I'll just point and go watch this film. If you want to get into westerns, go watch Once Upon a Time in the West. Has one of the best opening sequences to a film ever put to cinema. It's just phenomenal across the board. It is phenomenal. Once again, it is a long watch. I was very obsessed that COVID year, and I've seen it twice since. But it's one of those where if I have half a day to kill, I won't go and watch The Godfather. I won't go and watch Lord of the Rings. I'll go and watch Once Upon a Time in the West because that's the film that's the go-to.
I've still not seen it. I haven't. Westerns is one of those like gaping holes of. I just haven't seen that many westerns, and it's not like horrors where I just don't actually enjoy it as a genre. Like, and I'll still watch horrors, but I just
Mm.
don't care. Westerns, I just haven't. I think not only have I just not seen many, I think because they don't make many either. I then don't have that like I need to go. I've not seen the Clint Eastwood trilogy.
I
That's how
cannot.
that's
I
how
mean,
bad it is.
the $3 trilogy is fine, but Once Upon a Time in the West is different. It is
I know, and this is
elevated.
I know if I watched one or two, I would end up just like going through a shit
Going
ton,
through all
which
of them, yeah.
and that's what
Mm.
I'd want to do, and that happened one day. But yeah, not yet. But my number 10, I do have a long film at number 10. I have one of the greatest crime films ever made. I'm going to say that back to back. Actually, my number 10 is Heat. Michael Mann's Heat,
Mm.
starring, unfortunately, we have to now say the late great Val Kilmer, Robert De Niro, as I mentioned earlier, 90s Al Pacino. Um, I don't know. This you also about those Thursday night clubs where I was getting my intro to life. I
Yeah.
remember the day we watched Heat, I was just told like there's going to be a scene where the volume is going to go up, and it's the bank heist. It's the greatest bank heist scene ever. It's a film that's influenced so many films in the 30 years that have followed. That's right. It's celebrating its 30th anniversary this year. Um, yeah, what a film! It's in my top 10. I'm a big Michael Mann fan, and I think I would have loved to have been like not this age, but this was the first film, not the first one they're in it together, but the first Pacino and De Niro film where they were going to be in it with each other in scenes.
Mm.
That would be enough to sell a film. And the fact that takes place in this film, in the way it does, in such a great sequence, I'd have loved to have been like this conscious film age to see that. I don't even know like what it would be like living through something like that. Like, would it be a Barbenheimer, but it's just two
Yeah.
great actors that have never been on screen? Heat's incredible. And I'm very nervous about Heat too. I'm not going to lie. I've not read the book. I don't want to read the book. I'm really not sure about needing another Michael Mann Heat film in the year 2027 or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah. No, I've seen Heat once again. It's getting added to my rewatch list. It is a phenomenal film, and yeah, that bank heist sequence, my god. I think the first time I watched it, I had headphones on, and I was like, you know,
First eardrum.
yeah, that's the one. My number 9 pick is a pick we've already talked about, and I mentioned that we go into Pixar earlier, but let's talk about Toy Story 2 as the first film that I ever saw in a cinema, and just a beautiful, brilliant animated classic. It is Pixar's best, although I absolutely love Ratatouille as well as a second pick for Pixar films, and I can't pick the entire Pixar catalog because there's so many duds. But Toy Story 2 has been, or when I was younger, was my favorite film to watch. It was great. I didn't care too much for Toy Story 1, but I absolutely loved Toy Story 2. I loved the expanded universe of it. I loved all the new characters. I think the villain is way better with Stinky Pete and Owl as well. That entire sequence of the polishing as well, that is just ingrained into my mind. The film itself is ingrained into my mind. It's brilliant. I absolutely love it. Had to make my top 10.
Yeah, it's. I think again, it's a generational thing, right? We got to not like witness the growth of Pixar. Like we weren't born when Toy Story 1 came out, but we at least got the Pixar revolution that we didn't know it at the time as children, that these like weren't just bangers after bangers coming out. It was like generational animated film after generational animated film that didn't stop. And Pixar is very worthy on here. We'll talk about Pixar later. But if we keep going into our 10, I said I've got crime films back to back. This is like the most disturbing favourite film I think anyone's going to pick, not The Human Centipede. I've got 7 in mine, which is really weird because it's always been in a favourite films list of mine. It's always been in this list where it's like the best. And this is where I was sat there talking about Godfather earlier. I was thinking at these films, like, do I like this more than 7? And I was like, no. And I was like, am I a sick person? Like, there's something about this film that's disturbingly exciting. And every single time I see it, I love it. Every single time I see it, I'm nervous. I'm afraid. I feel sad for Gwyneth Paltrow. I love the Brad Pitt speech. It's got a great cast. I know we can't talk about one of them anymore, but at least him becoming.
I think you can say the performance. The performance is good.
Yeah, and even the title sequence and the music, like it's my favorite Fincher film. I think it's the best Fincher film. I know people disagree. Obviously, we've got like Social Network and stuff, but 7 is. I didn't think it would be sitting in the top 10, but it is.
Yeah,
and I looked at everything. I'm like, can I put you with this? No, I can't. Okay, so yeah, that's my number 9.
I remember watching 7 in college and going, "Oh, this is a dark film." Like, and I love murder mysteries, and it is a phenomenal film. I'm on the Social Network train for best Fincher film, but it's very close. It is very, very close between them. My number 8 pick is, we'll keep it in the theme of kind of horror-ish. It's Alien, the first film. I'm not going to put the second film as part of that and have it as the 2 because I think the first film is far superior to the second film. And the reason why is because there is just one. It's just one thing stalking you, and that is far more terrifying than the action-packed, second film that comes with it. It's just the most classic, scared and alone kind of horror film, isn't it? It gave us one of the best kind of, action/horror heroes of all time in Ripley. It gave us one of the most iconic, horror creatures of all time in The Alien and sci-fi creatures of all time in The Alien. It has such a cool atmosphere and vibe. It has brilliant practical effects in it. It is just a brilliant film to go back and watch again and again and again. And the fact that it's still got films being made kind of based off the first film, should we say, it stands the test of time perfectly. It's one of the best films of that decade, and it is, definitely one of my picks for one of the best films of all time.
That's very fair. One of my favorite quotes from Ridley Scott came out recently when he said, "I was so depressed after watching Star Wars in '77 that I quit my project and then I made Alien." And that's insane. Like, it's such a great film. It's in that category of like the less I watch it, the better it will be because it holds up every time. And it's one of them. I'd love to see this in like a 70s 35mm film, like at Prince Charles. Like, I bet it plays even more terrifyingly in the old formats.
Yeah.
It's perfect. I know that last year's Alien film's like the closest we've probably had to the original 2 Aliens. I know there's some fans of Alien 3. But I love Alien. I have an Alien next on mine, but I have an Alien to talk about later. My eighth. It is a franchise pick. It's less of a cop out than Harry Potter. I'm going Bond, but I'm particularly obviously putting in Goldeneye.
Mm,
The impact of those films. When you're into a top 10, these for me, my talk's going to get short because I've spoken about probably every single one of these films
yeah.
like way too much over the years. But it's Goldeneye on mine. It's my favorite Bond film. It's starring my favorite Bond. I could make a conversation for 3 or 4 different Bond films to put over Goldeneye for the sake of the list, but it's Goldeneye for me. I love it. Brosnan is my Bond. I am optimistic for Amazon's takeover of Bond. Optimistic's the right word at this point in time. Who knows? But yeah, I can't add anything more. You put Bond in earlier too, so it's a quick one.
Yeah. And Goldeneye, great pick as well. Just in general. Yeah. This is probably the most discussed thing on this channel. My number 6 pick. No, sorry, number 7 pick. It's Star Wars. It's just Star Wars. If I just put Star Wars, and I guess
Can you
I
pick
put
one?
I put down Empire, but realistically, that could have been Rogue One. That could have been, I rewatched Revenge of the Sith in 4DX. First time doing 4DX. I'll talk about that on what we watched. That was an experience, Jesus. But yeah, Star Wars. It's just Star Wars. We talk about this so much on the channel. It's a brilliant, just beautiful franchise that is ever expanding. We've got Andor going on right now, and I'm absolutely loving it. But I mean, if I'm talking about my favorite Star Wars films, I'm talking about Empire, I'm talking about Rogue One. I love those bittersweet endings, and that's going to become a theme as we kind of go up the list of the bittersweet endings. But yeah, just brilliant sci-fi, fantasy, action, the imagination involved, what it spawned into things like Star Wars Celebration and the culture behind it. Just it has become a staple of society. Like, you don't say that about many films or franchises. You can't say that if there's a reference to, I don't know, something like Lord of the Rings, that everyone will get it, but everyone will get a Star Wars reference. It
Yeah.
transcends pretty much all of franchise cinema. I don't think anything comes close. It maybe Marvel did come close to it when it was at its peak, but Star Wars will always have that longevity of being around for, however many decades now. It has fully stood the test of time, and yeah, it will continue to. Even if they keep on throwing in duds every now and then, people will still love it, and I will still love it.
I think the Revenge of the Sith anniversary sort of just epitomised that cross generational thing that I don't
Oh, the
think
cinema was packed. Like,
$50 million it's grossed, and it was only allowed to be shown for 6 days because of Thunderbolts. Obviously, Disney being Disney.
mm,
If that had like a 3-4 week rollout, like the old school special editions, I understand why they didn't. That would have easily grossed another like 100 mil. Like it would have been 100 mil
yeah.
max probably. It was every screen I went to was packed. I went to 2 screenings, but
Mm.
yeah, a great pick. Obviously, we'll be talking about Star Wars later. My 7th pick. I don't know if this one's been on the channel too. District 9.
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
we
it's been
have
on.
talked about District 9, no.
If we have, it would have been like the early days of Film Club. But
Mm.
Neil Blomkamp is I think was one of the most interesting directors who his first 3 films I really enjoyed. Yes, even Chappie, but he can never get out the shadow of District 9, and it is one of like an all-time great sci-fi film. The mockumentary, I know it's not a mockumentary, it's not a comedy, but you know what I mean. Like when it's a mockumentary format, but it's this alien invasion, and the fact it's in Johannesburg, it's not LA, it's not London, it's South Africa, and we have them intertwined with the culture years later. You've got an incredible lead performance. Sorry, I almost did a terrible South African accent. I won't be doing that because I used to do it a lot when I was younger because of all
Yeah.
the prawns. And I just love this film. I don't watch it often because when I do, I have a blast. The weapon tech, it is that like underground sci-fi that isn't going to really work in any other format. But because again, it's South Africa, it just adds something we've not seen before. It didn't feel like Independence Day. It didn't feel like the other sort of alien invasion films we're so accustomed to. And I think the location and gap in between of this thing arriving versus, it just sat here for years.
Mm.
Their population comes down and they're selling them as food. There's gang wars. There's alien tech. I love it so much. I don't think it's spoken about enough. And I think the problem of kind of how I opened, the film spoke about more as a shame that Neil Blomkamp didn't get he didn't maybe reach the highs of his early career.
Hmm. I mean, he left on the board that Alien film, which I've seen the concept art for and looks...
That's not his fault. That's Ridley Scott's fault still.
Yeah.
But it might have been rubbish, though. That's the problem. But at the same time, it's like, what could have been?
Exactly. I did say, for my number 6 pick, I did say we go back to Nolan. We're going back to what is now my favourite Nolan film, which is The Prestige. It's kind of like a murder mystery that kind of plays out over time. It's just the twists and turns that this film does are so well put together. I love the rivalry between Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale's characters. I love the magic involved in the film. I love the sci-fi element thrown in. It's a film that just gets better on rewatch every single time. And it's one of those films that was creeping up my list. I was like, do I think it's better than that film? Yeah, do I think it's better than that film? And it ended up in that block of, like I said, 12 to 3, which are all interchangeable. But when I was doing the final rankings, I was like, oh, I really do want to push this higher towards the end of that. And it ended up there. It's another film that I'll be rewatching again probably this month as one of my films that I've listed down that I'm definitely going to try and get around to having another go at. But it's such a great film. I'd love to see it on the big screen. That's one thing that I haven't seen before. I'd absolutely adore to see it on the big screen, but I don't know if that chance is going to come around again, because I feel like with Nolan films, he's got other films which are made more for the big screen, if that makes sense. Until, I guess, an anniversary comes around, I won't get the chance.
It's one of them where even almost 20 years later, the cast was sort of...
Anniversary next year?
Yeah, it'll be next year. But I'm just sat there like, in 2006, Christian Bale, I don't think he's a big name, but he's very much like, if you're in the industry, you know he's a name. But The Dark Knight hasn't come out yet, which has propelled him to that high level. Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, but the Marvel films aren't like the Marvel films they are of today with Hugh Jackman's reputation. Scarlett Johansson is not the Scarlett Johansson we know, and Chris Nolan's still not the Chris Nolan we know today. The film has more credit because its age and everyone... There's a few films that this happens to where every single person involved's career has like been humongous since, and then you look back at something like this and it's like, wow, they had this dream team together before they were that, and this is and it is one of his best films. It didn't make my list, but again, it could have been like 7 Nolan films on a bad day. It probably would have been like a top 30 or 40 if I'm honest. But
yeah.
My 6th pick is, again, one that changed when I locked it in from a favourite, not best. This is a trilogy. Some may regard it as the Holy Trinity. I do. I spoke about superhero films, so last time I speak about one brand superhero films. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, particularly Spider-Man 1 for the sake of the video. The greatest origin film ever put to screen, I think, for the greatest ever comic book character. Again, at the age of 5 years old in 2002, did I know this film I'd be obsessed with it like 20 plus years later? No. Did I realise as a kid how good this film is? No. As an adult, yes. You look back and think, wow, like that's an incredible film, not just a good Spider-Man film. Then you get the same thing with Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 3 is what it is. Even the Spider-Man re-releases last year for no anniversary release, each screening was packed. Granted, it was like limited cinemas showing it, so obviously it was busier, but I love that they've survived the superhero like boom that most people come out of them still thinking these are the best. I'm not generalizing, but more people will go back to these original Spider-Man films than a lot of the other Marvel stuff. And I think you look at the success financially of No Way Home. I'm not saying it's all on Tobey Maguire. It's not just on Tobey Maguire, but it was the ideology that the 3 Spider-Men are going to be on screen together. Now, if Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4 was coming out in cinemas tomorrow, that would have Deadpool and Wolverine numbers. I don't think Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man 3 would have those numbers. I don't think Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4 will have those numbers either. I think Maguire is seen as the OG, and like everyone that's followed looks up to him. And he's in that like Luke Skywalker Spider-Man role. But the 3 films, you can't take it away. I've got a Green Goblin helmet behind me.
Yeah.
I should have pointed out earlier, but not like I wear it, but it's great to have on work meeting, so.
Yeah. No, fantastic. It's a trilogy of our childhood, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I remember watching the films growing up and loving all of them, and yeah, good pick, very good pick. Now we're into the top five. Our two favorite five films of all time. Although George, you still haven't mentioned Star Wars, so I know that's just going to be, you know,
The question there is which one, not when.
yeah, exactly. My number five pick is of course not Star Wars. My number five pick is the Grand Budapest Hotel. Hilariously, two of my picks in the top five are from the same year, which kind of shows when I got really into film and really into cinema. But the Grand Budapest Hotel is probably one of the quirkiest, quaintest, hilarious, you know, picturesque, you know, perfect films of all time. It's so clean. It's Wes Anderson's magnum opus. He's not been able to capture the same level that he got on that film. And if there was ever a time for him to win Best Picture, it was on that one. It's not going to happen now because every single film will just be compared to that. It's such a good watch. It is such a good watch. Every single character means something in the film. Every single little miniature that was made for the film, every single frame is gorgeous. I have it as half of my screensavers on my computer. And it's so rewatchable. I've used that word so often today, but it's one of those films which always is just a comfort to watch and brilliant every single time. And just every single character has their moment. It's great. Love it.
It's a film that I've grown around with. Like, you know how much I disliked it. And I know that the Wes Anderson exhibition has just gone on sale this week, hasn't it? But you are right, like, Grand Budapest is one that everyone goes back to. And he said he won't. He's got a new film coming out at the end of May, right?
The
and this is
Phoenician
weird of his
scheme,
films.
yeah.
They just don't seem to have any marketing. Like, it's like, a Wes Anderson film's coming out. Not to take the piss, but like, all the Wes Anderson TikTokers will be like, "Woo," like, let's go shoot on our vertical frames in the right way. Apparently, Wes Anderson hates people doing that, which I think is actually hilarious. I've got to give him respect for that. But he's such an interesting filmmaker, and yeah, every film gets compared to that now. But not every film is going to be Grand Budapest. And I feel like even before Grand Budapest came out, as someone that's seen a lot of his films later on, I remember seeing the trailer and thinking this looks amazing. But I don't think his films had that gravitas. Like, now everything gets compared to that, whereas I don't think everything was compared to something before that film. I think it was just he's a very good director, whereas it became the Wes Anderson films after then.
Yeah,
that makes sense. My fifth choice, I've definitely spoken about this film to you. It's a biopic, Rush, directed by Ron Howard. One of the all-time great sports films, a film that ironically did come out 10 years later would have probably made like $500 million.
yeah.
But because it came out before the same Netflix documentaries, this still feels slept on. Chris Hemsworth playing British F1 legend James Hunt. Niki Lauda being played by, oh my god, I've forgotten
Daniel Bruhl.
Daniel Bruhl's name. Yeah, thank you. Reimagining the greatest rivalry in F1 history, the 1976 season, in a biopic that I don't think not has any right to work. It's the only narrative you could tell in film in F1. It is the only real life instant where you had these two clashes of culture, of background, of belief, of racing styles, of real rivalry that were respected and was very real, that told it in the correct way and events. I don't think many films would be able to be made like this because it would be so outrageously unreal, but this was very real. And I think it's one of the key reasons why the F1 film has to be a fictional story, because you can't just take... You can have some idiots online saying you can put this rivalry, that rivalry. You can't do films on anything else. You either get documentaries. This is the only one that works as a biopic. And it's still one of my favourite films. How it was recognised within the industry, how it's been received. I would love the new F1 film to be better. It probably won't be story-wise, but I'm all for the tech and everything. But yeah, it's like it's a real slept-on film. But again, I get it. I'm an F1 fan. But yeah, fifth, this has actually gone down a place compared to how it was before. But this has been one of my favourite ever films since the day I saw it.
I was expecting it to be on the list, but I didn't think it'd be that high, personally. Like I knew it was going to be on there
Yeah.
somewhere because I know you love the film, but wasn't expecting it up there. Um, okay, my number 4 pick. This is very left field. This is very this is deep lore to the channel. If people know that I absolutely adore this film, it's 12 Angry Men. I remember the first time watching 12 Angry Men and being absolutely baffled, not just by kind of the kind of single shot filmmaking and the kind of the different kind of things that were used to put together the film, everything that was done to kind of define that film. The characters introduced, not having a single name, it being just one conversation with no real cuts between that, and just focusing on different characters at different points and everything like that. It is an all-time classic. It is an absolute all-time classic. It is regarded as one of the greatest films of all time, but I actually really enjoy it. You could never remake this film.
Yeah.
People will try, but you could never remake this film. And it's one of those films where every single time I watch it, I'm like, yep, this is why I love this film. It's just there immediately. It's groundbreaking. It's fantastic. I don't know what more to say. It's the only black and white film in my entire list, but it deserves its place to be there in my top 5.
I've still never seen it, which is crazy because I'd always see like the Criterion being like offered round,
Even as a
and
film student, you haven't seen it. Now that's
no,
fascinating.
the this one of the few Sydney Lumet had done this price. Like, I've seen Dog Day Afternoon again, Al Pacino, 70s Al
Yeah.
Pacino, but it's one of them where it's been on the list. It's just never been bought or seen, and I've never once ever seen it advertised for TV either, which
No.
means it's probably hidden away on a streaming service. Maybe it doesn't work for kids' algorithms with black and white. I don't know, but I will watch it one day because I've heard nothing but amazing things about it from everyone else. But yeah, I will watch it one day.
Mm.
My 4th pick, bit of a segue. It's here, but I don't think people thought it'd be this high. Top Gun Maverick. Now I've had like a top 20 on Letterboxd for like on and off like 10 years. I'd update every couple of years. Is anything really snuck in? I didn't put Dune on here because I'm waiting for the trilogy to be out. And again, that's like quality versus enjoyment. Top Gun Maverick, I think, is like, I don't want to say sit here saying save cinemas. That is like a life changing film for me.
Mm.
Watching that so many times at IMAX, really. We look at 10 years doing this channel. I don't want to say we don't have an identity because that sounds wild, but certainly on like conversations with like PRs,
Mm.
the key identity I think I've always said is like we advocate the cinema experience. I know that's very snobby to say, but that's kind of like really what my piece of it is. Like it's about going to the cinema. It's about your experience watching, the people you go with, what you're watching, the quality, the experiences. Things like 4DX, which is silly but fun, and this was the first time I did 4DX because it was Top Gun. Seeing it shot on IMAX, new technology, it's a Mission Impossible film. It's one of the greatest ones I've made. I'm not putting it here with the original Top Gun. This is Maverick. A film I don't think anyone thought would be as good as it was. Nominated for Best Picture. Gross is like 1.34 billion, I can't remember. An absolute game changer. I don't think we've ever seen a film like it. The irony that we've just been talking F1 and Joseph Kosinski, Draper,
We've talked a lot about Joseph Kosinski
yeah,
today.
the whole Top Gun Maverick team, bar Mr. Cruise, is doing F1.
Mm.
I'm not part of any, conspiracy theory. I believed that if Tom Cruise wasn't doing Mission Impossible 8, I think Tom Cruise would have been in the F1 film. I know Brad Pitt is producing, but that's my little theory, and I really am curious to see what other people think. But yeah, Maverick's there for me. It's in terms of favourites, it is right up there, like to an nth level. I've actually seen it in like a good year or two, but again, like the BFI, I'm actually showing it this Sunday as part of the Tom Cruise BFI celebration stuff. I can't get into London this Sunday. I'm sat there like it's back at the fucking BFI IMAX, and I can't go. Gutted. But any other time, I would go.
No, I've still only seen it once. It's once again on the list of things I do kind of need to get back to and watch. I'm kind of waiting for it to come back out on 4DX if they ever do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just for that experience. Okay, top 3. Number 3 pick is The Thing. I know it's, a remake. I know that there was another remake / kind of prequel that came after it, but I'm talking about John Carpenter's The Thing, the 1980s one. Just the most suspenseful film I've ever seen. And one of the craziest kind of, stories, brilliant use of practical effects, and bits of kind of little bits of stop motion and stuff like that. It is absolutely phenomenal. Keeps me on the edge of the seat every single time. Love the ending as well, with it being very much in the air of whether they've managed to get out or not. Films like that, films excite me. And, The Thing did that job and continues to do that job. It's one of my dad's favorite films as well. So it's always nice that when we can't think of a film to watch, we'll just kind of, go and, yeah, we'll watch The Thing, or we'll watch one of those old classics. But yeah, absolutely brilliant film. And I don't like horror. I do not like horror films at all. But The Thing might be the best horror film of all time. And, it's one of the best sci-fi horror films of all time in general. So
I've still not seen The Thing.
I can't believe it.
It's one of those films. I know a lot about it. I think I saw a few John Carpenter films a couple of years back, and I just never carried on with them, not in a disrespectful way. But I know so many people that love it. Yeah, I know it's there for a lot of people as well. Like, it is a bona fide classic. But yeah, I don't have any more to add. Sorry, that's really disappointing. Isn't it? Like, number 2.
Very quickly, does that mean that in the future, could we get a John Carpenter retrospective going around Halloween at some time?
Potentially. I don't know how many films he's actually done. I know that he's been recognised recently. I saw something on the news with him recently, actually. I think he's got like his Hollywood Star of Fame finally. My third choice. This is going to get quite predictable territory now. Inception's third on mine. I think most people knew this. It's not been spoken about yet. Big fan of this. It's Nolan's vision. It's the world building. It's the greatest. It's my favourite score of all time. A massive film in regards to me like enjoying film more and getting into it more as director goes. But yeah, I can't add too much more to what's been said. And he is in reality at the end of the film. I will end it on my theory. And no, the question will never get answered. People surpassing Christopher Nolan.
I mean, I knew it was going to be on there, so. But yeah, absolutely love it. Okay, number two. Whiplash. It was my favorite film of the 2010s. It was Damien Chazelle's first film. It comes out in 2014 as well, same as Grand Budapest. Once again, another very, very intense film. And I've watched it again recently, and the drama, the build-up, the battle between the two lead characters. I mean, J.K. Simmons plays the most kind of dastardly evil teacher going, but one who's passionate enough to push his student to the very edge because that's what he believes is the thing that's going to take him to be great. And you'll find a theme in my top 2 films. It's all about striving to be better and kind of, motivational films to push you up in the world and just make you that person. And Whiplash is that film that is a motivator. It's a film that drives. It's a film that kind of gets you there. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And it's my number 2 pick.
It's one of those films that I've still only seen it once. And I'm not saying once is enough, because I've got it behind me, like I should revisit it. I don't think it's unfair to say almost 10, well, it's 10 years now, isn't it? That J.K. Simmons gives. I don't want to cut one of the best ever supporting actors, Robs, because that's the context of Oscars. You have that chat. It's one of the best performances that everyone's ever seen. Like the intensity, how he is. I don't even want to say career resurgence, but I feel like that built him up to another level. You've got Miles Teller. I've really enjoyed the film, and I remember it's one of the few times I've gone to an empty cinema because I went in the middle of the day on release day, like when I was at college. No one was there, and it was just an experience.
The sound behind it, all of it.
It's so good, and I do think it's Damien Chazelle's best film, and for a debut film, still is outrageous.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And my second choice is probably predictable. It's a trilogy, but I'm picking The Dark Knight. Again, not that the list is less interesting for me. Everyone knows everyone knew what my top 2 was going to be. Come on.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
the Dark Knight is there. Of course, the Dark Knight is there. It's the last Nolan film on the list, so don't worry, people. I don't know how many. Maybe I've got 4 or 5. I think.
Yeah.
It
Tenet,
isn't
number
surprising.
one.
Yeah, could you imagine? But this is the one that without this film, I'm not on this channel talking film. Like
Yeah.
this channel doesn't exist. I didn't. We're talking like 10 years of this. This is 2008. This is the film that made me want to work in film. I started studying and learning stuff because of this. The knock-on effect, the domino effect is there, and not only all of that, the film's quality has lived up to that. 17 years later, it is still one of my favorite films ever made. I think it's still the best comic book film ever made that will ever have. The cast, the performances, the story, just perfect. And talking cinema experiences, this is the film that basically birthed us getting IMAX.
Yeah.
Look at everything he's done since. Look at all these IMAX we talk about now. It's Nolan that really pushed that tech. I know people talk about James Cameron, but this was the first feature film, not a documentary. This was the first film to shoot on those cameras, to use those cameras, and we're all better off for it.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember going and watching it. My first experience in the BFI IMAX, and that was just mind blowing. But the film itself, I knew they'd be high, very, very high up on the list. I kind of guessed what the top order was for your list, but at the same time,
Yeah.
It's still a phenomenal set of films. Like, I mean, I'll say that Dark Knight Rises as well is a good film, and it deserves to be as part of that and part of the trilogy.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Batman Begins as an origin story for Batman. It's absolutely phenomenal, and yeah, absolutely, Dark Knight is one of the best films ever made. Didn't quite make my list though because it's not my number one.
That's fair.
We're on to our top films now, and my top pick I'm not actually going to talk about too much, and the reason why is because one day on this channel I'm going to do a whole video on it because I've been
I've still
touting
not seen
that.
it.
I know you still haven't seen it. You need to watch it at some point. It needs to happen sooner rather than later. But my number one pick is Gattaca. It has been Gattaca for the last 15 or so years, or whenever I first saw it. I mean, I'm going to go into it more when I talk about it as part of the video, but a hardcore sci-fi film that is leaning more into the science than the fiction, that has actually done wonders at actually predicting things in the future, things that actually happen in real world. That has 3 phenomenal performances from Ethan Hawke, Uma Thurman, and from Jude Law. It's the reason why Maya Hawke exists, if that's a pitch for anyone, because it's a film that they met on. But from the same screen and script writer and director as The Truman Show, it's a sci-fi drama about overcoming the odds and striving to basically beat a perfect human or beat perfect humanity. It is a film that is motivating. There's a murder mystery drama thrown in there. It's beautifully shot. The score is absolutely just... The score is enough to bring me to tears, and the ending is one of the greatest film endings of all time. I will argue people to the death about that. Anyone who's seen the film would immediately jump on my case and go, yeah, they can kind of back me on that. But I want to talk about this film more, and I will do that in the future. So less now, more later.
I've said this probably for too many years. I will watch this eventually. Because you know what? The only knowledge I ever had on this film is it's your favourite film.
Yeah.
That's it. I know nothing on the plot. I know who's in it. And
Yeah.
I know about Maya Hawke, because that's been spoken about before.
Yeah.
But that's my knowledge of Gattaca. I know the cast. Someone was conceived there. And yeah, Tate's favourite film. I watch it. It's always on offer as well, like on the 4K stuff. It's like £3 for £30. But
Yeah.
I try not to buy too much. But my number one, I'm not going to get arrogant. You know exactly what franchise that is. But I'm going to try and make it at least somewhat entertaining for you and people at home. Keyword favourite. What's George's favourite Star Wars film? Tate, you can have a guess. People at home have a guess. I'm not going to do a clock or a countdown. I'm not sad. You can just guess one.
I mean, I'd go with either original, go New Hope, and then it could be anything from Last Jedi to, Empire to, Revenge of the Sith. It could be any of them, realistically.
Okay. You said one of them, but you listed half of them.
Yeah.
This isn't recency bias. No, it's not Andor, because that's not a film.
Oh, so it's Last Jedi then.
It's Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
because, and this is what I have to maintain what I said earlier, there's such a big difference between best and favourite. And I'm not going to slag off people, but I am. So many people don't understand this difference, which is frightening. Like, it's generally terrifying because it exists outside of film. Favourite
Mm.
things and best. The best meal I've ever eaten is not going to be my favourite meal of all time. It was probably some like tiny small dish that cost like a gazillion pounds, which I didn't pay for, that was done. But my favourite's going to be like a local pizza place or something. And Revenge of the Sith is my favourite Star Wars film. It is the Star Wars film where it all ended in '05. It was the build up, it was the marketing, the trailers, the Toys R Us trips. We did a 20th anniversary special on it the other week. This film, I can't say it kickstarted my love for it. It sort of contextually ended because the series ended with it. I remember watching it like, oh, that's it now. Star Wars is done. And obviously it wasn't done. You know, I think when we did Star Wars Top 10, I put Last Jedi number 1 over Empire. And I still maintain that they're the best 2 Star Wars films that have ever been made. And I will genuinely argue that, and I don't care who cries. But in terms of favourites, this is everything I want from Star Wars. This was the 4DX trip. This was like, yeah, Phantom Menace was great in 4DX, but Revenge of the Sith. And revisiting it with like family, with friends, it is just generational. And I think 20 years later, seeing that cast, seeing how the older generation have all been proven wrong from shitting on us all from when we were kids, telling us what we can and can't enjoy. It's a message to Star Wars fans of our generation. Be very fucking careful telling people what they can and can't enjoy when we're now the elders and the kids who are going to grow up in the next 20 years who are going to have a favourite trilogy that isn't this. Because I will add, I think you have to be part of the prequel generation for it to be your favourite 3.
Yeah.
That's not a criticism. That's actually an actual fact for me personally. But yeah, it's Revenge. It's Star Wars. Like anytime Star Wars is on the big screen, I'm there. Like again, Phantom Menace was the intro. Revenge of the Sith was the tipping point. I can make a case for every single one of these films. Yes, even you, Solo, not you, Episode 9. I'm sorry. I'll take back what I said. But there are people that love Episode 9, and that's the beauty of a franchise. That there are people who love all of them, and you will be able to find someone who loves one of them. It's like a deep Reddit subthread. Somewhere, someone is in that echo chamber. But jokes aside, yeah, it's the most like obvious unhyped answer to this entire video. But looking at it here, like looking at this, like they're my favorite films. Like nothing comes close.
Dare I say, people who've been watching this channel for the last 10 years would know that Star Wars, as in general, was your favorite, and would know that Gattaca was my favorite because we probably babbled on about it far enough across all the videos to talk about those things. But what I love about this list is there's so much variety in here. We do have some picks which are the same, which is, testament to, us having very similar film tastes. And that's kind of why this has worked over the last 10 years as a channel. But, the fact that we've got such varied picks and we've got our own kind of personal things thrown in there for everything. It's what this channel is built on. This channel isn't built on us only watching brand new films and only ever talking about brand new releases or having very niche film discussions about the tiny little things. There's so much we do on here over the years, especially from, new releases, from going through older films, from talking about entire franchises, game shows. We've expanded this year, or at least you've expanded from kind of, what you've been doing with the wrestling stuff. We still have, monthly discussions about films that we just generally watch. We still have general discussions about just life. I mean, people may know this or may not know this. I mean, we've probably worn like football shirts over the years, but we still chat about football all the time.
Yeah.
So, like, it's something that there's so much that this channel has been able to do and been able to kind of build as far as film community and just as far as community is concerned. So, like, I'm glad that we've managed to get to, these 10 years. And, it's a testament to yourself, George, who's been on since day one. And I joined in October that year. But we've both been doing stuff for the channel now throughout all of it. And all we can say is just kind of a massive thank you to everyone, who's watched any of our videos at any point across those 10 years. All of the various different guests we've had on over the years, all the people who've come on for discussions, every single comment, every single recommendation, every single person who's had that kind of impact on the channel that's, given us this boost to keep us going this long. And once again, George, I'll always say this, and every single time we have some kind of anniversary video, you are the man behind the channel. You do all of the editing, all of the thumbnails, everything that goes behind it. The amount of effort you put in behind the scenes is unrivaled. And, I bow down to you and say, thank you for everything you do for this channel to keep it going and to allow for a platform and a voice for people who want to talk about films.
It's very kind, and this is kind of it. Like the people we make videos for, it's not ourselves. Even though we want to watch a film, want to talk about, we don't have to talk about a film, and we can both say there's probably been a shit ton of films we should have done reviews on, which we haven't. And which is fine. It's part and parcel. Like we do this in our spare time. It's not a job as much as it feels like a job at times. It's not a job. We don't make money from it. And that's, I think, the one thing people can't comprehend with like YouTube channels is, yes, you will be subscribed to some of the biggest, richest people on the planet, but the other ones you don't. They're just normal people like us that do stuff as a hobby, and their hobbies can take over. Some people's hobbies they get to make careers from, which is wonderful. Very envious of a lot of those as well. Some really wonderful channels that do so, but we are just people doing this at home in our spare time, and for it to have gone on for 10 years, at the start, an evolution of the channel. So many things changing, even uploading in 4K. We don't just sit there and stagnate of past B. From recording on Audacity.
I was going to say, was it Audacity first?
Did we outlive Skype?
Google, we went onto Google.
Google Hangouts, which was great. It was actually great, and Google
fine.
cut it off. Now we have StreamYard, which is great. We get to make it look professional, and we do actually make it look professional thanks to them. It's been a while, 10 years. You get the Austria trips where you have to disappear. I've had it at mine, but I've had to disappear for like 9 months at a time. When life gets in the way, we've had guests come and go that have been with us, some from the start. We mentioned people like Tom Woods earlier, who's an absolute legend. He'd have fought us when we brought up both Blade Runner and...
Why is it not in the top 5?
Yeah. Oh, what was the other one? We would have brought up another one. I forgot which one. There was another one we brought, which was one.
But he loves
Gattaca. Alien as well.
He loves Gattaca as well, so,
And this is it. And we get so many great people. We've had people like Neil come on who have ended up doing Marvel stuff with us in lockdown to now doing it for Empire, which is fucking cool. We've got friends of the channel that have gone off to work in the industry and so many other things that it's a collective thing. We make friends by doing this in a non-weird way. We get to meet great people at events, at screenings, people that have seen our stuff. We've gone to conventions and met like subscribers of the channel that have chatted to us. We've seen films recommended by people watching at home. So this hopefully hasn't been a 2-hour video of us tooting our own horn. It is a celebration of 10 years and us opening the lid a little bit more on the type of films we enjoy, taking it back to its roots, because that's why this channel exists. It exists because we're into film. It wouldn't exist if we weren't still into film. I know we do TV now, and as you said, we branched into wrestling, which is like the loophole of loopholes that we're allowed to do wrestling on the channel. But it's but we found an audience for it already, which is wild. It goes two ways, that sort of thing. But even people watching on Instagram Reels, not this clip, obviously, or YouTube Shorts, like there's audiences. We have to evolve. The internet evolves. The industry evolves. And it's exciting to see where the future's going to lie with this. I'm not going to just instantly plug our videos for next week, but we're in the middle of doing an Andor series. We're in the middle of Last of Us. We've got Mission Impossible's coming back in the next few weeks. We mentioned Tom Cruise a lot, Joseph Kosinski a lot. We've got F1. We've got Wes Anderson coming out. The industry is starting to thrive once more. We're not going to get tariffed. That's a different conversation. It's just not physically possible to do so. If anyone is curious about that conversation, but yeah, it's been a lovely video, something a bit different. As I take, we'll be able to do it without you. When you came on board all those years ago, basically, you need to cut the podcast format, which I very quietly agreed with, and it took a while to be listened to. That's all I can say. But you modernise those changes as well, and it's all it's a tangible effort. No changing of passwords on your watch. That was not you. That's right, folks. If you want a bit of gossip, go to the Avengers Endgame original review. I'm not on there for reasons. We all know why.
Yes.
That's not Tate's fault. That's all I'm going to end with a little slide dig, because of course we would. Listen, to everyone past, present, future that might be watching this, I hope you've enjoyed this video so much. As I said, we will be back with Andor tomorrow. That is going to be live, season 2, episodes 7, 8, and 9, the penultimate arc, the penultimate episodes before we get to Rogue One, before we get to A New Hope. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be wild, and I can't wait for more people to join us. So that's going to do it for me today. Thank you all so much for watching. God, we said this to be a quick video, didn't we?
Yeah.
We will see you all on the next one. Take care.